Hello, my friends. Dorothy here. I know I'm a little late to the game here, but I want to talk about Pluto retrograding back into the sign of Capricorn in this informative video. And I'll share the screen with you so you can see what I am looking at. I want to share the astrology of that moment in time and then what it actually looks like and means for the rest of the time that Pluto is in Capricorn and what we can expect from it and how we can use it in any way that is about your strength, about your evolution, about the changes that are going on in your life. Because this is a generational thing. This is a thing that is affecting the globe. Every transit is something that affects all of us in our own ways. But to have Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, like there it is right there, one more time, I'm going to grab my notes so I can get those dates for us. Yeah, with Pluto moving into Capricorn, it moved in on September 1st. It will be there through November 15th. This is 2024 when it shifts back into Aquarius. It's been in Aquarius twice already for months, a few months at a time in 2023 and this year. But this final step back to Capricorn is what this focus is about. And this is really, really important because it is in pop astrology, as we all know, right? Pluto is Pluto is associated with death and transformation and change. A lot of doom and gloom comes out through this Pluto information, the archetypal energy of it. And it is very true, right? So, because most of us aren't a fan of change. We aren't a fan of things ending. We aren't a fan of things going away, but it is super necessary. It's very necessary. It's just like the seasons, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere, the season of fall shifting to winter. It's like things have to transition to end so we can then have that quiet period and then a rebirth. And this is the final ending of the Pluto in Capricorn period. Of course, you should know this. Most of us do. You and I will never experience Pluto in Capricorn again once it leaves there in November of this year, because it takes 248 years to move around the cycle. And so we won't see that again. Others will. So the energy of this is, Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is a feminine sign. People forget that. The earth and the water signs are feminine. So it is quite receptive. And so what I want us to look at is, like, I want us to, explore our natural connection to receiving, our natural connection to that continued life shift and change, so we can explore ourselves, dive beneath the surface of what's going on in our own lives, and even look at our own shadows, if you will. That's something that is really important when Pluto is moving through the zodiac. And so it has been in this sign since 2008. And you can go back and look at what, in hindsight, we tend to not see this in the moment, but we will see these things in hindsight because Pluto is so slow. When it entered Capricorn in 2008, this is important. What was beginning? What was ending? We had something ending because Pluto was leaving one sign and then moving into Capricorn. It was leaving Sag, moving into Capricorn. And so what was that began? What it was starting to slowly evolve. We wouldn't see it in 2008. We may not have known what it was, but some of us did. I know exactly what was going on in those times, for that time period, because of where Pluto was in my own astrology, what planet it conjunct my moon at 0 Capricorn, and the things I was going through between a lot of family shifts and a lot of shifts in this career that I currently have. This 2008 is when I started doing this publicly. Yeah, right? So I've completed a full Capricorn cycle. And you can too. Look back. It depends on how old you are too. So it will look different for each and every one of us. But the point of all of this, last few months, this is 2.5 months right now, that's September to mid-November, as Pluto is moving through that sign of Capricorn. It's time for us to look at, the connection that we have between our deepest desires, the power that we control, the power that we have, the things that we've been hanging on to, because that are, it's time for something fresh and new. Let me tell you, when I started astrology back in, the active piece of publicly doing it starting in 2008, I was one of the first ones on YouTube, first ones on Facebook. We had MySpace back then, and look where we've come to now in that time frame. The online presence is huge. I can stay in this place. This is my own example, so you have an idea. I can stay in this place of one-to-one clients, only getting clients locally, as opposed to really stepping into what's coming in. And that is the Aquarius energy of let's tap into technology. Let's tap into something fresh and new. Let's start to shake things up a little bit. However, this last piece, let's come back to now, this last piece of Pluto in Capricorn, the energy of this is about making those adjustments. It's about really, making that profound change and allowing the last bits of what is leaving to leave. We can talk about this politically. I don't want to do that, but I do want to talk about, let me grab that chart again, what this looks like. If you look right here where my mouse is moving, look, here's Pluto at 2959 Capricorn at the moment that it shifted back into Capricorn on September 1st, 8:10 p.m. Eastern time. The moon was right within range at 28 Leo, Neptune 29 Pisces, and then Mars at 29 Gemini. Now, these things have moved on, but the reason I want to focus on this just for this moment, this second, when Pluto shifted back into Capricorn, what was initiated at that moment in time. And there is 2 yods here, and it's called a double yod key, which means we have 3 quincunxes that make 2 separate yods. So they're sharing a side. And what it comes down to, the moon created that. The moon was there. So on Sunday night, there was something that was just so big and profound. And these quincunxes that create 2 yods here, I keep it nice and tight within like 2 degrees is max. It means that there's a lot of discord and a lot of adjustments that have to happen. So with the moon involved, with Mars involved, with Neptune involved, always about the stories we tell ourselves, the information we receive, the expression of our ego. The ego that's the moon in Leo, the stories we tell ourselves and the steps we're taking. That's the Mars in Gemini. The Neptune in Pisces is about like bringing some dreams to reality or trying to understand the fog or clearing the fog. It can vary for each and every one of us. It's a lot of moving parts when it comes to Pluto, just to this effect, this Pluto in Capricorn. There's a lot of moving parts and they feel like they're not fitting well and they're misaligned. And so I want all of us to take some time and I'm going to stop my share, take some time to figure out what is most important for you. What steps do you want to take? Look at your life. It's so important that we're actually action-oriented. So we're able to take steps forward in how we want the future to look, your own future. It's great to live in the now. Absolutely. I'm always a proponent of that. I also know that it's great to plan, to see what the future holds for us, to have that insight. But we cannot continue to build on things that no longer need to be part of our lives, right? So you've got to define that for yourself. You've got to figure out what that represents to you. What does those words mean to you? Right? So I want to go over a couple of thoughts that I have here. So it can help to maybe inspire some journaling or some meditation, things like that. So remember, we don't have to remember every detail from 2008 and how that Capricorn energy impacted us. We don't have to remember all of that. But we can look, if you look into these categories, we can look and see where institutions have been built and institutions are falling, right? That's something outside of ourselves. There's economic shifts, lots of power dynamic changes. This always happens. This is you grab any 15, 16, 20-year time frame in history, and you're going to see these things. But what you and I need to do is just to look at these things in our own lives and where that is. So again, for me, example, 2008, I started doing this work, super insecure. Hey, sometimes it always creeps in no matter what. I do have a Capricorn moon, so it does creep in once in a while, the insecurities of things. But you have to look at where you started, what you started then, and how that has evolved and changed over time, and how you can feel confident in yourself, not egoic confidence, but confident because you have your strength and your power and you've brought it into yourself. So here are some key things worth keeping an eye on, or asking yourself, so you can make this assignment, this Capricorn, this Pluto and Capricorn, more usable for you. So as we're in this last 2.5 months, so 4, 5, 6 weeks, for 8, 9, 10 weeks, right? It's actually 11. So look at the way you focus on discipline and hard work. We can't do this the same anymore. We can see this in the world. I want you to look at it in your own life. The Capricorn values, they teach us persistence and dedication, which is terrific. We need that. We want that. But it also can overdo it, right? We need that consistency and persistence to sustain things. We do want to keep that. This is what we're looking at. What do we keep, and what is it that we need to release and not have so much? If you're too disciplined and too hardworking, then you don't have any time to explore life, to play. So if you're working too hard, doing too much, I don't want to use that analogy. What analogy? I don't know. Beating a dead horse. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. Just constantly doing stuff and not getting results. You have to let it go. Absolutely have to let it go. If what's coming back is not equal to what's going out, you're overdoing it. That's overload on discipline and hard work. So ask yourself that. Think about that. Now, the Capricorn energy as well is about those strong foundations, those structures that we've built, whether it's business, personal life, our social engagements. It reminds us to have that these solid foundations are crucial for long-term success. So kind of like what I just mentioned, but it's like, what's the lesson here? It encourages us to build a strong foundation, but we now need to bring that forward into the Aquarian age, into an age of being open for fresh, new thoughts, possibilities, and ideas. Now, responsibility and accountability is another Capricorn dynamic, right? So it emphasizes that, taking responsibility and having accountability. A fair amount of this is really healthy in any human's life, in relationships, in business, in anything, because people get to they can rely on us, and we hold ourselves accountable. But we have to be careful of these commitments. I want you to look and see, it's like, are you being overly accountable? Are you being overly responsible for things? This is what these last few months of Pluto in Capricorn for the next 240 plus years is showing us. It's like, are you being overly responsible? Are you taking on too much? We need to step back. We have these solid foundations. We're not getting rid of that. It's like having the foundation of a building. You've got a permit to knock the old house down, but you have to keep on that foundation. You just shore it up, make sure it's nice and solid. You got everything you need, and you can rebuild from there. This is what we're doing with this Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn shifting to Pluto in Aquarius, just like the big procession of the equinoxes. We're shifting from the Pisces age into the Aquarius age. And now that we have Pluto in Aquarius and we're moving and we're in that time frame and we're living it. It's hard to see because it's such a big picture that happens every 26,000 years, so we're in this Aquarius age. But right now, astrologically, we have this little blip back to the old ways of doing things. What does that look like? Who is in charge? Am I in charge? What responsibilities do I take for my own actions? And how much do I allow in my life now? Because let me tell you, Capricorn rules old age. And the older you get, the more you know. And the more you're not, the more wisdom you have, and the more you're not willing to put up with shit. And sorry. And yeah, I swear, I'm not sorry, actually. The more you're not, you don't want to put up with things, and it's time to have patience and allow those pieces of your life to just surrender to it and let it go. I think that is one of the most important things. Next, how about patience and timing? Because that's also Capricorn qualities. So this Capricorn archetypal energy understands that things do take time. Patience is essential when we work towards long-term goals. There's wisdom of timing, of knowing, of when to act and when not to act. Those are key components of Capricorn I think I would try and keep. But if you want to sit down and journal about that, sit down and journal about patience and timing and see if there is something here that you want to keep and some things here that you want to let go of. That's what we need to do. And some allergies. Then there is respect for tradition and experience, respecting your elders, respecting those who have more experience than yourself, and honoring and respecting the fact that you have knowledge and understanding as well. Okay. Now, while the age of Aquarius definitely that we're coming into calls for innovation, this short period of Capricorn, this final period of Pluto in Capricorn is not about dismissing that experience outright, but I want you to journal for yourself if this is something that is active for you. Is the information, is the wisdom that I have, is the tradition and the experience worth carrying forward? We'll see this questioned in a lot of ways in the world over the next 16 years as Pluto advances through Aquarius. We're going to see a lot of questioning of specific systems that have been in play for a long time, especially here in the United States, because we're at that Pluto return. And, certain governmental systems and how they need to become more modern. There's certain things that we can focus on, generally speaking. And so, I don't want to get into politics. No, actually, we can, because, it's just a brief thing. It's like the delegates and things like that. It's just like we should just have a popular vote. That's just my personal opinion. And instead of the other way around. But that's something that I think people who are now in those positions of power, Pluto, we're going to start to push. They're going to start pushing to that. I'm a senior citizen now, so I will be active in it, but I will sit back. I like to watch and put my 2 cents in where I can. This is just something, again, this is the reason I'm going off on that. That's like the respect for tradition and experience and how it is absolutely ready for a bigger change. So look at that, look at your past, look at what you want to do for the future, and then we can step forward into that, using our experience, our tradition, and our experience. Yeah. All right. Now, a lot of these sound similar, but they are a little bit, there is a little bit of minutia here, so they are a little bit different. And the next is looking at leadership and authority. Capricorn does teach us about that, teaches about who's strong, who's in charge, who's the leader. Good leaders know how to make tough choices and guide others in challenging times. But that's going to show up where that actually isn't working, whether it's your boss or anybody else in a leadership position. We're going to see a lot of changes here in your own life. I want you to look at that and just say, where are you in charge? What are you in charge of? Do you feel like a leader? If you don't, if that's not your thing, then this might not be for you, this piece of the category. You'll see it outside of yourself. You'll watch, if you watch anything going on in the world, you will see that. And you will experience it that way. It's like looking out the window and seeing like, oh, it's raining out. But you know what? I'm not going outside today, so I don't need a raincoat. I don't need to prepare for that. It's outside, unless it gets really bad, and then you have to prepare. That's another piece of Capricorn. So we're getting all these last minute lessons of a transit that has been going on since 2008. And it's super important that if something, any one of these categories or anything else, which you can categorize in power and control, any of those things, I want you to journal it. Sit down, write that out. Why does this trigger me? Why do I feel upset about this? Or, wow, I feel like I've really got some strength here and some power here and some knowledge and wisdom. Because that last little bit of Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto, the evolutionary planet, the planet that wants us to evolve and change, is saying we absolutely need to release the things that are holding us back and keeping us encapsulated so we can step into that Aquarius age in a more place of freedom, social acceptance, open to new and innovative ideas and exploration. Ideas. My accent showed up. Ideas and exploration. So in a nutshell, you know, the lessons of Capricorn offer us an opportunity to look at what is solid, what is strong, where we feel we have knowledge and wisdom that we want to keep, and what it is that we are needing to release so we can become more progressive, more focused on this era of new inventions, a new freedom, new progressive ways of accomplishing things. This is where we're at. You know, it's, you know, visionary, and we're just beginning that as we go. You know, this Capricorn energy is just Pluto retrograde, especially, it's just making this final push for control, right? Final push, asking you really to weed out everything that isn't essential at this point in time. Yeah. And bring that forward, let that go. So we have room to bring in new things, new personal freedom, again, new personal acceptance, that intellect of Pluto in Aquarius and the Aquarius age. So Pluto's going to stay in Aquarius, moves into Aquarius November 19th, and it will 2024. It's been in there a few times already, but it will stay in there until 2040, right in that time range. It's a long time. It'll be about 16 years, 16 more. And so, yeah, that's just it in a nutshell. I know I just talked for about 15 minutes, I think. And one last share with the screen, because this is super important. And just to know that the first couple of weeks of this will feel rather intense, because we did start off with this yod. Here, take a peek. This is fun to look at. Yes, this is what I want to do. I want to disable everything but the quincunxes. I want you to, this is solar fire, by the way. I'm just going to disable, I'll keep the sextile in. I'm going to disable, save. There you go. This right here is the double yod. There's one from here to here. So Neptune to the moon to Pluto. And then the other one is, which is simultaneous, and that is Mars to Pluto to the moon. Yeah. So that's a double yod key. So what that, again, as I started, and I will end with, this means there is a fair amount of discord for the first few days of this, the first couple of weeks, honestly. We just had the new moon. I record this on September 3rd. I'm so busy. I've been trying to get to this, and I get the eclipse. We have the eclipse coming up on the 17th. That will be recorded next. You might see the same outfit. Just being fun. I want to lighten this up. Pluto can be serious and Pluto can be intense, but Pluto is also going to make sure that you are not hanging on to anything that you do not need to hang on to. It's going to mush and it's going to go away. Just think about it. I just think about it like when I want to go camping and I really need like just essentials. That's what Pluto and Capricorn this last few months is going to talk about. And that's what it wants us to do. What is absolutely essential that you want to bring into the future. It's not all the extra stuff. It's not the control. It's not the power. It's not working. It's not working yourself to the bone for crap money. It's none of those things. It's about being your own authority, stepping into your own power, and being ready for those new doors to open. All right, guys, I'll leave you with that. The next video I will see you will be most likely the lunar eclipse, which is on September 17th. And it is, I'm going to get to that. It's a full moon lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces. I will talk about that then. And I go in depth over in Patreon. I would love your support over there. This gets posted there first, and then it goes over to YouTube after that. So thank you guys, and thank you for your support. Comment, share, follow this, subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye. Namaste.